let's get back on topic here.
So, so I wound up, Kevin, getting, I did that mission in 0405. And then in '07 they needed volunteers for sergeants to do some training, be trainers for units from Ohio that were leaving to go to Afghanistan and Iraq. I did that for a few months at Atteberry. And then after that, 2010, I was called personally by a colonel that wanted me to go to Afghanistan and be a squad leader because they wanted somebody with combat experience. And at the time, I had just found out that I had obstructive sleep apnea. So
Mm.
I wasn't allowed to go to any areas that didn't have electric.
Right.
So I wound up not having to go because of that, and then the unit wound up standing down. They wound up not having to go. So 2000, well, fast forward 2014, I started feeling my joints started aching real bad. I was having some other unpleasant experiences. Um, my heart was palpitating, doing weird things. I had one time I had it like it felt like it flip flopped in my chest almost. It was really weird. I was having weird things happen. So I went to the VA clinic down in Cincinnati again. So now I hadn't been down there since '93. So I made an appointment to the clinic. And of course, Operation Iraqi Freedom veterans could go in that clinic and everything. And the nurse there was very nice. But, they did an EKG, which came back up normal. They did all the blood work, which was normal. And I'm like, look, man, I'm in pain. There's something going on here. And she said, well, we can schedule you to see a rheumatologist,
Yeah.
but it's going to take a year. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to wait a year. And at the time I had TRICARE Health. And so I went to my family doctor, and she uh, sent me to a lady who was a rheumatologist, and she did a test on me for fibromyalgia. So it's an 18
Mm.
point test. There's 18 points on your body. And when they press on those, if you wince in pain or if you have any, discomfort, it scores as a actual hit on it, right? And at the time, I was having a lot of like I was tired all the time and sluggish and everything. So uh, she diagnosed me with fibromyalgia, and she also diagnosed me with chronic fatigue syndrome as well. And then I was also diagnosed with anxiety and depression. And the anxiety is and the depression is from being in pain constantly because I'm in pain a lot.
Right.
Like and it the funny thing is I don't see her anymore because she says, well, you need to exercise. Well, I paint for a living. I'm running up and down ladders. I'm carrying 5 gallon buckets of paint. I'm working above my head all the time. uh I weigh 170 pounds. I'm in great, I don't have, I'm not fat, I'm in pretty good shape. And I'm like, and it's just getting worse. And so I started the process to get out of the guard. And I had my 20 years in at the time. And so they went ahead and got me out. And on the way out, which I'm grateful for this, the VA doctor, she went ahead and diagnosed me with also sinusitis and golf, and she called Gulf War illness is what she diagnosed me with at the time.
She actually diagnosed you with
Oh,
that?
wow.
It took them 3.5 years to get me out. I'm 80% rated through the Army. Um, and so I get a quarter of my retirement right now, guys. So I had to apply for what they call CRSC, Combat Related Special Compensation. Nobody told me how to go by doing it. So it took me almost 6 months to get it. I had to reapply. And every time I reapplied, it was like another a layer. So I sent my ARCOM I got, which I was awarded an ARCOM for being a door gunner in the Gulf War. I sent those orders, and so I get a call from this woman down at Fort Knox called Lieutenant Napoleon. And she said, look, the VA's giving us crap. We're going to go ahead and award the CRSC for you. You earned it. Uh,
Oh,
you know,
damn.
being a door gunner and stuff. And she was really cool. They awarded it to me. So I get a quarter of that. And then I'm 90% rated through the VA. I don't know if you guys realize this, but Desert Storm veterans are, we are the only veterans that they really go against as far as 100%. I have a few friends of mine that are 100% rated, and they don't have nearly the the things wrong with us like we do. You know what I mean?
Right.
They have PTSD, and they get awarded for 100% for PTSD, and it's like, you know, I understand people have some problems, and I'm sure we all have a little PTSD, but if it bothered me, I would have never stayed in as long as I did, right? And so I, I'm, all my stuff. I got tinnitus and obstructive sleep apnea. They found out that that I was serving while I got that. So and which is good. So I'm rated for that. A lot of people don't even get that. So I'm 50% because I use CPAP
Well, the
machine.
fibromyalgia should be covered. The
Right.
and
And
IBS
the chronic fatigue
and
and
the
the apnea. And I
chronic
got
fatigue. What
anxiety and depression. Yeah, I got that all.
right? And I can't believe you're not sitting at 100%. I don't
Right.
quite
I'm
understand
at
it.
90,
I don't
91.
understand that either. Why
Well, I
wouldn't you?
haven't turned in for my sinusitis yet. I'm going to do that in January. And the reason, guys, I'm going to wait until then is because, so the VA fought me at first. They only gave me 10% for fibromyalgia and 0% for chronic fatigue. So I went and got a lawyer.
What?
I went and got a lawyer, and now they rated me max. They maxed me out at fibromyalgia at 40%. But, the chronic fatigue, they only got me rated at 20%, which is ridiculous because there are certain times of the year, which are mainly March and April for me, and November, when the weather changes, it starts getting cold. I don't even want to get out of bed. And it
Well,
said if you're bedridden for like 6 weeks, pretty much, that you should be rated at 60 to 80% for chronic fatigue. Now,
well, the chronic fatigue, yeah, is something you and I when you a few minutes back when you had commented that you had that you had seen the rheumatologist. I never saw the rheumatologist, and I've told this before because when they looked at my stuff, they said and saw what my service was, and then I was in the Gulf War. I got nothing for you. And before I say anything, I'm hoping that a fellow vet of ours named Kirk, who lives in Pennsylvania, I hope he is and or his wife is listening, because this gentleman is service connected, but he still has a ways to go. And I was messaging his wife, and we all know the battle. You can get there, but it was suggested to her by some friends to read a book, and I'm like, okay, you can read a book. Everybody to each their own, but this information, Paul, like you supply and that Kevin and I give out, there is such a thing, kind of, sort of, about fast tracking certain things, and everybody has their things, but the chronic fatigue, I don't know what the max is for chronic fatigue. 60% or better.
It's 100%, but when you're at 100%, it's completely you're completely being taken care of. My point is I want to be rated where I'm supposed to be, and where I'm supposed to be is 60% rated, and right now I'm at 20, and so I haven't gone after it I haven't pursued it any much more, because after 5 years of the diagnosis back in 2017, when I was diagnosed with both, and then I started getting compensation for that.
Okay, hold on. I'm a little confused, Paul. I thought we never ask people volunteer, but Kevin and I are never going to ask personally where you rated at. You volunteered, and I'm just clarifying. So you said you had said a couple times when we're talking that you were rated 60, 70, 20. I'm a little where you volunteered. I'm sorry. Only if you want to tell. I'm not. Yeah, that's up to you.
My total rating from the VA is 90% with all my ailments. Okay. And then I was totally rated for my ailments from the Army at 80%. So I'm 90 through the VA and 80% through the Army. And so when I retired in 2018, if you're rated more than 50%, you don't have to pay taxes on the money. Number one. Number two, you get TRICARE for life. So I'm not complaining. I mean, I have health insurance for the rest of my life. and so does my family. You know, I
But
got some
here's
young
the
kids, and
he-
I'll tell you a little bit about
right.
my family.
Well,
But
well,
so
in a second, I want to stop both y'all there
okay,
because I'm mathematically putting all this together. I understand where he's coming from on this, John.
Okay.
Is he's waiting so when he goes to refile after 5 years, it automatically sticks.
yes,
But he's going to go for a higher rating on, and which you should. You should
yes,
go for a higher rating on that, and I mean, and all that. But see, like chronic fatigue
yeah,
is what a lot of people out there that don't understand.
Hmm.
I can literally just sit somewhere and my eyes will close
yes,
Yeah.
I'll fall asleep, and people don't understand it.
right,
But lately, it's hitting me harder. I don't know if it's age wise or if the medicine they're giving us mixed, because with being diagnosed fibromyalgia, it's with your nerves. So you're either
right,
on Lyrica or you're on gabapentin.
right.
And
Yeah.
so, but do they give you? Why I don't know why I've never asked the doctor. Is there
Okay,
anything for chronic fatigue?
there isn't. So I've asked that, and they said no. And of course there's us three. We both, all three of us know that there's just, it's just not the fatigue part of it. It's everything that encompasses that too, because you know uh, you get headaches from it and all kinds of stuff. We know, you know what I mean, and stuff like that too as well. There's other things that encompass that, like with the fibromyalgia, the
How about
everything.
tremors? Do you got tremors?
Okay, so I get panic and anxiety attacks really bad, but I will tell you this. So I don't know if you guys are low on any vitamins. So I found out I was very low on vitamin D.
And
Uh,
B12.
okay,
I'm low on
so
both.
are you low on both? So vitamin D, I know when my vitamin D is going low, I start having anxiety and panic attacks a lot more. And yes, I do. It's awfully funny you said that. I shake a lot in the mornings when I
Yes,
wake up.
I do too.
I shake a lot, but as the afternoon goes on, like it goes away. It's kind of weird.
As
I
soon
get
as I take my medicine, it goes away.
I get tingliness in my fingers and in my feet a lot. I get a lot of like starving, like sharp stabbing pains in my feet, like somebody's taking a knife and hitting me in my feet.
Man, you're saying everything. I mean, I kid you not. Now we're going on a vacation,
Yeah,
which gonna endure a lot of walking, and I'm like,
right,
I can't do it because I have neuropathy real bad.
right. That's what you were saying.
Right,
It's
and
terrible.
so they're renting me a scooter
Right.
to ride on. I'm gonna be the old man on a scooter, son of a bitch. I just realized that, son of a bitch. I'm gonna be the old man on a scooter, man. I'm gonna have to put like a little American flag, bring some shit like that.
Yeah.
But that's the bad part. I'm only
Right.
52 years old, but my
Right.
body's about 70.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what so I have a family doctor now, and she's a very good doctor. She's a Desert Storm veteran, Navy. So
Go Navy.
yeah, so she did her doctorship while she was in the Navy, and she told me that basically you're gonna age a lot more
Faster.
than what your age is. You know, you're probably 10 years older than what your age is right now.
Right.
So if me and you're 52, we're actually 62,
Right.
and so uh I get like stabbing pains in my head at times. Sometimes I don't know if you guys get that.
No, a lot of my shipmates do.
Um,
I don't get the migraines like a lot of people do.
right.
My head used to get real foggy, but ever since I've been taking Promadone, it cleared that up. My
It does.
memory's better
It
taking
is. Okay,
Promadone.
good.
Yeah, and my tremors. Man, my tremors are. I got to be honest with you, man. My tremors are a lot better now that they up my dose. But man, I'll tell you the one thing: my fatigue
Yes.
and my feet. I mean, I'm going numb, and
Yes.
that's what they've been worried about.
Right. And it's going to affect all our private lives. John, are you working still, or are you fully
No,
retired?
I haven't been able to work
I
since
work.
what, 16
Yeah,
Okay.
I
And
or
work.
17, something
you
like
work,
that.
and so, what scares me, Kevin, is that, how much longer can I go physically, and, you know, uh, I pray every day that the Lord will get me through the day. Every morning I say that prayer. Please let me
Yeah.
physically get through this day just so I can keep supporting my family, because that's important to me, that I'm able to give them stuff that I wasn't able to get when I was a kid, and I think every man wants that for their family, as you guys know, So, but fortunately, I'm when I do retire, it's not like we're going to be living on the street. I mean, I've got good benefits, and through the, I've got my time vested in the painters union, and I'll get my full retirement at 59 and a half, and but Kevin, I've also lost a couple friends that served in Desert Storm, and uh, one was 47. His name was John, and he was transportation, and we graduated the same year. I didn't know he had joined the Army until later on, when we met up later on in life, and he died of colon cancer at 47. And
Hmm.
the tumor, I talked to his mother about it, and she said the tumor that he had was so rare that they're pretty sure he got it while he was in the Gulf. I have another friend, his name's Rodney. He's a tanker, and he's really messed up from it. And he works for the VA though, but you
Yeah.
see, you see it every day, that guys are dying young, from this war that we served in, and it's kind of scary. It's kind of like we're on borrowed time, so to speak.
Well, this is what I tell my family, and I'll say it. I'll say it. If I get to the point to where they can't take care of me, I don't want my kids to take care of me.
Right,
I don't want my wife to have to worry about taking care of me. Put me in a facility,
right,
and a nursing facility. Let somebody else take care of me and still enjoy your life. Come and visit me once a month. I won't care. I won't. I mean, I'm already at that mindset that I'm thinking at
right,
52.
right,
I'm
right,
seriously. We have to start thinking about, okay, guys, let's really, really think about, what do you want to put your family through? Well, I can
right.
tell you, if anybody that I knew had the feeling of the feet, the hands, the tiredness, and all that I have,
Yes,
the feet is the worst. If they had it,
right,
I would want them just to have it one day, just to understand, this is not what I want y'all to go through. I don't
right,
want y'all to take care of me. Man,
right,
put my ass in a home with a bunch of old ass people. We can talk war stories, which I don't really have any, because I didn't shoot at anybody. But I'll tell them about the time that my chemical alarms went off and all this shit. And
right, right.
I'll tell them about sea snakes and all that bullshit. But that's I don't want my wife and my kids to have to deal with what I know is coming. I
Right.
know it's coming.
Right, right. Let's just hope, for all our sakes, it doesn't happen for a while. The good Lord will bless us, for a few more years,
Well,
So,
I really wish the good Lord would go after the assholes who did this to us.
well, I tell you what, and that's something that I think, John, you would agree with me on this. That order that was given to blow up those bunkers, it was a second lieutenant that did it. Now, I, I hate to say this.
Well, it
I'm
was the
not trying.
second lieutenant that was given the orders to do
R-
it.
Right,
Uh,
right. But between me and you, that order had to come way high up. And
right.
what's disappointing to me is this: if General Schwarzkopf knew about it, which I think he did, and General Colin Powell knew about it, shame on them both. Shame on
Right.
them.
Shame on everybody
Yep,
involved in this.
yep.
I
That
mean,
was
really, truly, shame on it. I mean, this is where I get frustrated.
right.
Is it, if I meet a politician, I
Yeah,
don't care who in the hell you are, and you've been in as long as Desert Storm's been in, your ass needs to go because
I agree.
they know what they did to us.
Right,
They know what they did to the guys in Iraqi freedom. They know what the hell they're doing to the guys in Afghanistan. It's
right,
time to let veterans run this damn country. Because
right.
number one, your vets should come first. See, now I'm getting mad, John. John can tell I'm get mad. That it's vets that need to start running this damn country. Take care of business. And
Right.
and that's the upper leadership, which I'm going to say this. I our president now, which he at least came out and talked about Gulf War illness. He
Right. He
talked
did.
about that his son. I heard the other day that he said something about his son dying in Iraq. He
Right.
didn't mean to tell everybody, "Hey, look, my son died while he was in Iraq."
No,
He meant
no.
my son died because of Iraq, and I
Yes,
believe he did.
I do too. I do too. It's
I mean,
direct result.
and
Right.
and I'm an independent, so I don't like anybody right now because I'm pissed
Right.
at all of them.
Right.
But be honest. Be honest with yourself.
Right.
I mean, these people wouldn't send their kids over there.
Right. Well,
One did. He
us,
died.
right. And us three, we went out and we did our job. We did it to the best of our ability. We signed. We knew what we were getting into, but we also thought that they would
Take
they
care
would
of us.
be ethical and
Yeah.
take care of us as well. And that's all we're
Well,
asking for is to be taken care of. It
well,
took it
Just
it
come
took
out
them
and tell me. Come out and tell
that's
me.
well,
it took
that's
it took them 20 something years before I started getting compensated for being. I lost a lot of time of work at times because I was sick and didn't feel good and didn't want to go to work, and I lost a couple jobs over that because I wasn't feeling well, and you know they should have came out like you said, and it's a shame it took a CIA agent and his wife to come out and say, "Hey, we know what went on. There was this bunker was blown up. There was a plume that flew back, and at first they said it was only 10,000 soldiers. Then they wound up it's 250,000 of us that got low level
Everybody,
exposure.
even on ships.
Right.
I
You
mean,
guys, exactly. Yeah, you
I,
guys had alarms going off, and that's so upsetting to me because you know you can't sit there and say 13,000 chemical alarms go off and they're all faulty. It's horse crap. We all three know that, and these they need to come out and compensate us veterans for it. What they're doing is they're waiting for as many of us to die before they compensate us. That's what they're
right.
doing.
but
Right. So
that's just it. They're not. To me, we're not going to be like Vietnam. We're not going to be compensated. I
No.
really truly believe that 100%. I think what they're actually going to come out and say is like, look, guys, we know y'all were exposed to something. It could have been a ration of things. It could have been several things y'all were exposed to.
Right.
And to me, okay, don't compensate me, but by golly, come out and admit it.
Right.
Come out and admit it and say, hey, look, you know what? Y'all were exposed to this. Y'all were exposed to this. Y'all were exposed, and they're never going to do it. I just believe that 100%.
Well,
Yeah, I
can I
want
go
you to
ahead and bring
talk
this,
about that. Yes,
Kevin? Can I bring that up to you about this doctor?
yes.
So I got a article from my first sergeant back in March, this past March, and he said he forwarded to me, said, I want you to read this, Shafe. I said, sure, I'll read it. And so I read it, and this guy did 28 years of research on Desert Storm veterans, and what he found out was that there is a certain gene in each of us that I'll have to forward the article to you, but it's a gene that shows damage. And how he found that out is he gave low level exposure to rats, and so we're kind of our
Like a
genes are
rat.
kind of similar, right? So some rats would get really ill, some would die, some would be okay. So when you read this gene, it would say, okay, it would read a certain way, and so some people's bodies absorb it more so than others. So the people that got sick, like us three, we absorbed their nerve agent instead of fighting it off. We absorbed it, and that's what made us sick. If you think about it, guys, before the war, they were saying that we were going to lose uh, about 160,000 of us were going to die uh, from gas that they were going to throw on us, and then all of a sudden there was no gas used. It was all phony baloney. They were using gas on us during the actual ground war. Uh, there there's reports that I read were Czechoslovakian units that were embedded with American units, and they were reading mustard gas, and here we are, we're out there waving them through, and they're laughing. They're like, look at these crazy Americans, they're out here with no mask on, and we're getting low level mustard and nerve gas. They're having strong readings, and they wouldn't come out of their vehicles. And
it was because of the Czechoslovakian, Mr. I'm looking sideways, and Mr. Eddington was the one that confirmed
right
that it was because of the Czechoslovakians saying, hey, because they were leading the way on the detection, which kind of forced our hand meaning our government, our United States government, to admit, oh, yeah, okay, because we got another country saying, no, it's there, and you asked us to lead, and we're telling you that it's present. So there's no denying that. Eddington pointed that out at Gas in the Gulf.
Right.
Between us, I kind of knew it was sarin gas because of it when they teach you what happens to you when you get exposed to it. If you get directly exposed to it, the headaches that come on, snot coming out of your nose, the confusion, and then obviously you go into convulsions and then you die, right? If you have full exposure to it, right? We were all exposed to it in a light way, but like I said, this doctor Robert Bradley, I'm pretty sure that's what his name is. So I called him and I talked to him, and he said that he went to the VA and talked to the main guy down to VA, and actually the main guy met with President Biden about it, and President Biden's going to back him on this, and that within the next 1 to 3 years, Desert Storm veterans are going to be able to take this test and see if they were exposed to low level sarin gas.
But will he be able to tell after 30-something years?
Yes, he says that it stays in there. It never leaves.
No
it never leaves.
shit.
Now, he said I talked to him, said the symptoms can lessen, and then as you get older, they can come back and be worse than what they were when you first initially left there.
Oh, son of a bitch! You should. Oh man!
Like me and John were talking before the show. We were all complaining, that the symptoms seem to be getting worse as we're getting older.
Right. Okay. Well, I want to stop you right there for a second, because Raymond on here wrote, and I'm. What about the crap that they gave us during, to keep the bugs off of us, and to remove paint off of steel on ships,
right?
But not only that, but along with the anthrax, along with the P-tabs, along with the malaria pills,
right?
You think that test will detect that? Or
well, I know he said it won't detect that. This is just for sarin gas exposure. So, I'm sure it was a myriad of everything that we were exposed to. If you guys remember, they were giving us DEET and saying, "Hey, lather yourself up with it." I mean, I was running around with dog collars around my wrists and ankles because I was tired of fleas biting me all the time.
Yeah, I don't have to worry about that.
I had my mom send me dog collars.
Wait.
From home.
Wait, you weren't scratching behind your ear, were you?
No. I didn't start barking or anything like that. That's good, right? But no, I think it was like I said, we all know that it was the most contaminated battlefield ever fought on. We just happened to be there on that battlefield at that time. So
Well, think about it. Everybody think about this for about just 1 second. I mean, they tested our own sailors out in the ocean on radiation poisoning by blowing up a bomb.
right,
They used, chemicals in every war ever fought. They tested on us. They had scientists keep testing, making all this shit. And now we're sitting in the 21st century, and they're, I mean, they won't admit it. It's like, shit, you can watch movies on it, that
Right.
actual footage. Oh, but we still never did that.
no,
I mean, we didn't do shit in Camp Lejeune neither. That wasn't
Right.
toxic as they're pulling a barrel out. Well, that's the part that really gets me the most, is that
right,
we have been busting our ass for our country,
yes,
and we did our service, we did our time, and all we ask for is the truth.
right. The doc also told me this as well, Kevin. He said that he thinks that he did brain scans of 5,000 of Desert Storm veterans, and all the brain scans came back. The brain stem back here that controls your breathing, controls your nerves and everything, right? They were all swollen just a little bit,
All of them?
all of them.
And was
So
that a mixture of Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines? Like that?
I didn't ask him that.
Probably.
I would say yes. And so he said that, with that being said, he's thinking that they may be able to come out with a medication in 10 years that maybe will block those symptoms.
We'll be
In
dead
10
by
years.
then.
That.
We'll be freaking dead.
But, you know,
I'll be
so,
living in a retirement home on a walker. Son of a bitch.
but the good thing is that they are pushing that test, and hopefully within 1 to 3 years we'll be getting that test. And if we did it does come back that, hey, you were you're ill because of sarin gas, then they're gonna have to come out and do what they need to do and take care of us.
What they're going to have to do is pass another PACT Act that
Right.
has to,
But one of the things that we sometimes we talk about more than others on this program is that there's no denying the various exposures we have. But one of the things that we want people to know, fellow vets, is there is a way to get into the VA system and get the benefits you have coming to it. You have to be willing to advocate, but the information can come from Kevin or myself through a simple, email, pick up a phone and explain how to do it. Because
Right.
the bottom line, a vast majority of veterans, they get very frustrated with the VA system because the VA, they make it difficult.
Yes.
Some locations within the United States make it more difficult than others. I
Right.
live in Iowa. I've made comment more than one time. I'm very happy with the VA that
I'm happy in
the things
Texas.
that I receive, and Texas does as well. But there are states and
Yeah.
areas that the VA just isn't up to the par that it should be,
Right.
and the veterans get frustrated. But Kevin and I can assist, and we get nothing out of it other than the gratification knowing that you're going to get the help, because here's what you need to do.
Oh,
Right.
Wait. And on top of that, and for any of you assholes that are reporting my podcast, I'm gonna find out who you are. I want that known right now, because this is about Desert Storm vets. This is about guys out there who are suffering, and we're trying to get them help. This isn't about anything else than that. We're trying to make a dialogue of what happened to us out there. So stop reporting my crap. Okay, I just wanted to say that. and I want to make sure that gets on there. So I just because I think that's important. I
Right.
think this program is very important, especially because it's helping the vets, man. All of us are connected. I mean, when I met John, I'm not going to say he was depressed or lonely or anything like that, but he's different now, I think.
Right.
He smiles more. I think his wife likes him better. He's not grouchy. He does,
Oh,
still
well,
not have
she's
any
great
damn
then.
hair, everybody. I just no, but I mean, John, it has. It changed me too. It
Right.
it
Yeah,
it it, it
it's
has.
certain. It definitely helps that know that there's other people out there that are suffering the same things.
Right.
And like and we make the comment every time. And I don't think we've ever had a veteran argue. Some of our, and I know I repeat myself, but some things happen right away that we know and we just not quite sure. And others, it happens right away and we're like, what? And we don't, and we learn, oh, that's because of that. Because we want to think positive. Well, I went to serve for my country. Surely our government will acknowledge that it's because of my deployment.
Bullshit.
No, you've got to advocate for yourself. And no,
And
it was because I was there.
okay,
Right.
but now that he's talked about the doctor, and they're gonna maybe test us in 1 to 3 years, will they test our kids? Let's talk about that, Paul.
Okay. So I started having kids later on in life. My first kid, I was 39 when she was born. She's 13 now, and she does have some. She's got ADHD, and she does have like a really bad learning disorder. Uh, Now she does okay in school, but she has some things wrong with her in her mind a little bit. So my second child, um, and I'm gonna go ahead and say her name. Her name's Madison. She's uh she's 11,
Hi,
and she was
Madison.
born. Yeah, and she was she was born with a 2q37.3 deletion. And so what that is she's missing the 0.3% on her chromosome on her left arm, the tip of it. And so what that causes is developmental delay and learning disability, and now she's autistic. So she's 11, but she's probably got the mind of a 4-year old.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So me and my wife we're probably gonna have her with us for the rest of our lives, taking care of her, which is fine. Okay. So we went and seen a geneticist probably about back in 2012. I went with my wife, and so we sat down and the geneticist, and we were sitting there, and the first thing he asked is, "Are you guys related?" Which pretty much PO'd me at the time, and you know, I'm like, I'm like, no, we're not from West Virginia. To break the ice a little bit, right? So,
Wow.
anyways, but
Can't believe you just
I'm,
said that.
I'm joking with all you guys from West Virginia out there. Anyways, but um,
I like the related part.
so I actually asked him. I said, could it be related to my direct involvement in the first Gulf War? Because, I was exposed to a lot of different chemicals and whatnot. And he said, no, it's genetic. Well, it's awfully funny. I told him, I said, because I could look down my lineage on my side of the family and my wife's lineage on her side of the family, and they've never had an issue with this with any of their kids. So you tell me how it can be genetic. And he got real quiet. I know for a fact it's from my direct involvement in the first
Right.
Gulf War. So now, fast forward, I was 47, and I had another child, and he has cerebral palsy. He's 3 now. They did some tests on him, and it's not that bad. It's actually, they think by the time he gets to be a teenager, he'll be strong enough. But it's his left side that was affected.
Okay.
Now I'll fast forward one more time. I have a 9-month-old little boy, um, and he's perfectly healthy. As a matter of fact, he's starting to walk at 10 months, and
Wow.
Yeah, he waves hi. He says dad dad. He says hi when he waves. He claps. He shakes his head. No, no, no. Those are all things that he shouldn't be doing until he's like a year and a half, or
Gets that from his
14 to
mama's side.
16 months, right? So we've been fortunate with, I love all four of my children, obviously, but I know that, three of them are probably not doing too well because of my direct involvement in the first Gulf War. And I know I'm not the only one out there with children that have had issues from us, all of us serving over there.
Well,
So
also on top of that, Sheila has written. Uh, her husband is in the Gap, and then she said by that I mean he was at Camp Lejeune in 1990, sent to Kuwait burn pits, oil fields, dry lagoons, and then sent back to Camp Lejeune after Kuwait. He has multiple melanoma, bladder cancer, uh, but the cutoff date was at 1987. A hard date. My question is, can this land at Camp Lejeune be sampled to see if there are toxic chemicals, even from the watering? I don't know. Sheila, this is the best answer I'm going to give you on this one, okay? Go to Camp Lejeune Facebook page and ask them. There's we had a couple of them. Tara and Jill were on the program, and you'll see they're the admins. So it's the Camp Lejeune Facebook page. Go there and talk to them about your husband, as far as if they're going to be doing any testing on that. And then so there's ways that they can still sample the water these days and sample everything, but he's now at 50% heart failure. And this is what a lot of the guys are suffering from. Uh, my guess is going to be it's not Camp Lejeune. It could be a little bit of it, maybe. I have no idea. I can tell you it's probably going to be from the Gulf. A lot of guys have heart issues from the Gulf. A lot of guys have, tachycardia. They have heart failure. They have nerve damage. Digestive system problems. Like I lose my B12. The line of my stomach has spores, and they're gone, so it doesn't hold. I'm a vitamin D deficiency. I would probably say 80% of us have probably vitamin deficiency. And it could be from the conditions of the Gulf War. I mean, it is. I don't give a crap what they say. Not could be. So, so what I'm telling you is, Sheila, you can go ask the Camp Lejeune, talk to them, talk to Tara, talk to Jill. They know more about it than what I do. But I'm telling you, as far as most of what he has, I'm going to probably say is from Desert Storm. And I hate to say it. And I hope you have a really good doctor. I don't know where you're at. If you want to contact me afterwards, after the show, you can just instant message me and all that on Facebook. And even anybody on TikTok, YouTube, anybody can always message us. But I'm going to get back to the children thing because I thought hers was really important. You've heard about my daughter and stuff. Next week, we're going to be bringing family members on. And I'm going to bring my daughter on. Both of my boys are fine. They were the only problems with them, they were pain in the butts when they were kids. But, a normal teenager kid. But my daughter had a lot of issues. My daughter and Wade's daughter seemed like the timeline matched exactly at the same time. It's really weird. And so I know, John, I don't know if you're going to probably bring your wife on correct? As a caregiver.
I'm gonna try. That'll be a challenge,
I'll
but I'm
talk to
gonna
her.
try.
Don't worry, y'all. I'm gonna have her listen to this episode. I'm gonna tell her she's gonna get her butt on the podcast. And then I think Wade's bringing his daughter, Sarah. I hope she's bringing one of her, daughters and stuff. But we're gonna have Jim Brown back on, and Jim Brown is full of great information. That's another guy. If you ever have questions to get a hold of, because he knows timelines. I mean, I'll give Jim Brown a lot of credit because it was one of the episodes that they tried to boot off, but we got put back on. He touched on subjects that need to be touched on. The burning semen. I mean, I don't know if a lot of people don't like to talk about it, but that was a good subject for a lot of people to come in and say, hey, I have the burning semen. I have that problem.
Right.
And everything. But I mean, John, I really hope your wife does come on as a caregiver, and the stuff that she has seen you go through over the time. And just like, Paul, we were talking about your wife and everything earlier.
Right.
How is she dealing with it? And a lot of people may need to hear your perspective. Is your wife dealing with everything fine?
Well, I mean, she's dealing with the best that she can. She gets frustrated because, she's got a lot on her plate. 4 kids, ages 13 to 9 months. So she has a lot on her plate. I work full time, running a business. So a lot of it's left on her lap. She's a stay-home mom, and she's a great mother. But handling Madison is a challenge. She lost a tooth about 2 years ago, and she's seen the size of the blood. She quit eating. We had to take her to Children's Hospital. She almost died. She almost starved herself to death. And so those are just challenges that she has with this deletion and her autism. And my wife, she was down there with her the entire time. Of course, I had to stay back and help our other children and continue. But, eventually after 4.5 months, she started eating through her mouth again. So in the meantime, we had to give her a G tube, and we have to give her medicine through her G tube. She won't take medicine orally. Now she eats though, but she wasn't eating then. So she was living off of, what are those things called? They're like adult shakes or whatever.
Oh yeah. Ensure.
Yeah.
Boost.
So she was living off that. We were putting it in, and she wouldn't even drink anything out of her mouth. It was terrible, just at the sight of blood. So now we're worried about other things because she's starting to become to the age of, pretty soon she'll be going through that change. And what are we going to do then? So,
right.
Those are things that we worry about. And
Sheila says prayers for you. I mean, I know it's difficult. I know it's hard. But, one thing about it, having a bond with your wife and your other kids help out too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So I'm going to leave it to John if you have any other questions or sayings or army things or whatever. Y'all play with your little tanks and toy. Okay.
No, I didn't deal with tanks. No, but no, I just greatly appreciate Paul coming on and sharing your story. It's I often am pretty amazed, because when people bring up, because I was there for a good majority of my time in the military over in Germany. It's always interesting to see who was where and what their experiences are, and how they're feeling now and what's been going on. So no, just thank you for coming on, Paul, and sharing. I appreciate it.
Thank you, John. I appreciate it.
And Paul,
appreciate it, sir.
Paul, I'm going to give you your last words. Is there anything you'd like to talk about?
Oh, well, the main thing with coming on the show was to just, tell my side of the story, so to speak, and and let other vets know that are suffering like us that they're not alone. Because when we first got out, I'm sure that we were alone at that time. We didn't have social media. We didn't have
Right.
what we have today, right? So, I'm just grateful that you given me the opportunity to come on here and share my story.
Right.
So,
And I just want everybody to know, if you just need to talk, man, just send me a message. I'll send you my phone number right away, won't I, Paul and John?
yeah, you sure will. Yeah, yeah,
I contact immediately. I do
right.
it as fast as I can, and I don't care who it is. I don't care what time of the night it is. But for a vet that needs to talk, send me a message, please. I mean, easiest way to do it is through Facebook. The other way that, and if you don't have to come on the program if you just want to talk. If you need, if you have questions, I may not have all the answers. I might think I do. Shut up, John. But John will have a lot of the answers. I mean, we can find you the answers that you're looking for. But one of the best answers, questions and answers that I can give everybody is when you go to the VA and you get frustrated, don't get verbally mad. Take 2 steps back and say, look, I just don't feel like me and you, Doc, are kind of connecting. I'm going to take that. I want another doctor, please. I love you to death. Hugs, but bring me another doctor. Really and truly. That's how I would do it. That's actually how I did it. I was like, look, nice to meet you, lady. You don't know anything about go for illness. You're probably going to make a really great nurse practitioner somewhere besides the go for side. So, and I walked out. I got to talk to my regular doctor. It was funny because I didn't upset her, because I used a little bit of sense of humor in it, even though I was fuming pissed. But that's sometimes what you got to do.
A sense of humor will get you a long ways. And Paul, once we're off air, just hang tight a little bit for a couple of minutes after we're off air, if you would, please.
Yeah, sure will.
And
not a problem.
I want to thank every one of our listeners, for listening, and thank you for everybody, Sheila, everybody for sending in comments to me. I like to read comments while I'm on the air, because I think it's important to hear what other people have, why we have it. And Paul, man, I am sending so many prayers your way. And I'm really sending a lot of prayers to each and every person out there that, to go out, do your civic duty, vote. And so, I want to thank everybody for listening to Go For Side Effects. Thank y'all. Thank you for listening to Go For Side Effects. If you have any stories you would like to share, or just have any comments or questions, please email me at kevinsimon@goforsideeffects.com. Just to let all of our listeners know, we have opened an online store. All proceeds will go to helping veterans connect. The link will be in the description below.